Thank you for tuning in to the Old Sun Sports Podcast. It is your host, Old Sun. We have a really cool guest on the show today. His name is Ryan Ripken. He's, as you could surmise, he is the son of baseball great Cal Ripken Jr. He's a recently former minor league baseball player. Had a great run as a minor league baseball career. He's a Gilman Greyhound. He's a guy, pretty big Maryland guy. So welcome to the show, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I know we've been talking about this. Honestly, I feel like since the summer about doing something. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
since
we
you
could finally
retired,
get
basically.
together.
Since you retired,
Yep.
basically. Yeah, it's fun to have you on for sure. So tell us, for listeners who aren't familiar with the details, give us like the Spark Notes version of your baseball career or background.
All right, Spark Notes. Try to move as quick as I can.
Yeah.
So obviously grew up with a baseball family. Family's been around the game for decades. And so personally, and for me, I went to Gilman in Baltimore, Maryland. Was drafted out of high school, didn't sign. Went to college, went to South Carolina for a year, then went to Indian River State College, junior college in
Okay.
Florida, and was drafted by the Nationals and signed professionally with them. Was with the Nationals for 3 years, and then the Orioles for 4, and finished in the AAA level in 2021, and then finally, reached a time where it was the right time to hang him up and move on, and here we are now. So the baseball's been around my life, really every single year it feels like since I was born.
Great response, great answer. I'm sure you've probably been asked that question before, but great. You did a great response. Um, So, next question. What was it? Tell us. Do you have like a cool story, or like what was it like growing up so intimately with the Baltimore Orioles organization?
Honestly, that was just the norm for me. I didn't know anything differently
Yeah.
at the time. And so that's what it was being able to, on days, to go into the field, hang out in the locker room, maybe go to the batting cage. And just everyone was very welcoming. They'd mess with me too and joke around. And, it just felt like an extended family. They treated me as one of their own, which is awesome. As far as stories, I was younger when my dad was playing, but his last year I got to go to Fenway Park for his last time, and before the game, like well before the game, and before
Mm-hmm.
batting practice, I'd go on the field, and we went out to the Green Monster, and my dad would throw me balls and be 50 feet from the wall to give me a chance to hit it over the monster, and I ended
Yeah.
up finally getting one or two over, which was really an
That's phenomenal.
awesome experience, and I definitely have some photos out there to back it up too.
So hitting balls over the monster. That's really like a maybe not a once in a lifetime opportunity, but a really cool story. That's really awesome. So tell us, you have it. So since you've retired, it's been about roughly less than a year since you've retired. What have you been up to? And you have a new podcast. What do you want to tell us about your podcast?
Yeah, so right now it's exploring the next chapter, and I've had interest in the media realm. As part of the deal with the Nationals when I signed, was they were helping pay for my schooling. So I'm
Okay.
finishing up schooling because I owe it to myself and to my family to finish that off.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, yeah, so the media route, exploring both TV, radio, and then heading into the podcasting world. And so, like you said, I'm starting my own personal podcast. There could be some other things upcoming here, but for the personal podcast, I'm a big person about that. There's journeys, and everyone has to walk their own path.
Yeah.
And sometimes in whatever we do, sometimes it can be hard to understand of how people got to where they were. But if you break down and you listen to whoever it is, so for example, if you listen and sit down with someone that's talking about baseball, you can listen to the words, and there's some great stories, and you're going to hear some great stories about on the day to day or what happened. But when you listen to the conversations and some of the words that come out, you could really relate to and resonate on an everyday life. And I think that was the cool part about what I wanted to try to bring is how can I relate everything back together, no matter what journey you're going to walk by yourself, that when you dive in there's a lot of similarities that hopefully can be very interesting and inspiring for others.
Very cool. So tell us, I guess, what to flesh the question out, like what's like the theme of your podcast? Is it just like a general sports talk podcast, or
We're gonna have people on from different industries,
so it
honestly.
sounds
So I do
kind of like
have a lot
mine?
of yeah. So I have I have a lot of connections with athletes, so there will be a lot of different athletes involved. But people in the broadcasting world, and
Yeah,
people the medical world, entertainment, you name it, that's where the expansion is going to go. Obviously, you probably are going to see a handful of athletes as well. But the point of it is to be able to bring people from a lot of different backgrounds and industries and be able to bring them talk about what they've done and really have an off script conversation. And that's the name of
yeah.
the podcast is Off Script with Rip, is to
Oh,
have an off
nice.
script conversation that I think that people would not get anywhere else. So it should be a lot of fun. And so far, some of the interviews I've done have really opened up my mind to not what I was expecting going into the interviews.
That's really fantastic. I can't wait to tune in. Do you have an expectation for when it's gonna be aired?
It's coming soon. It's really honestly, it could be as early as next week, or
So
it
you're
just depends
just you
on.
have
I'm trying
probably
to
a
do a lot of
checklist.
the editing. Yeah, trying to get everything finished up, and I have things lined up so I can be consistent with the content coming out. Because that's
Yeah,
one thing I want is to be able to uh, give people a consistent platform to listen to.
yeah.
So it's been fun and for sure it is coming. Uh, Hopefully it could be next week, but probably in the next upcoming weeks and just stay tuned. I'm going to post more and more about it as we get closer to the official launch.
That's really fantastic. I'm really excited. I definitely will be tuning in. It sounds a lot like the show we're on now. I have a eclectic group of guests and mostly sports people, but just you know
Mm-hmm.
kicking it and giving good life advice, telling cool stories, giving good verbiages of their experience. So tell us what. So I told you off the air, but I'm starting a job as a head coach for a JV baseball team this year. What advice would you have? I guess for me, as a random question.
Well, first off, congrats. I mean, I know I sent you a message, but congrats,
Yeah,
on the
I'm really
call. I mean,
stoked to do
it's
that.
awesome. It's amazing. Yeah, you should be fired up. It's
Yeah,
it's it's exciting. It's fun, and you love the sport. Honestly, the advice that I have is, be yourself as a coach, and be yourself. Be patient, and that's really it. I think there's no right way to go about coaching. I think you're going
yeah,
to have to learn things as you go, just as players are. And then and stick to what makes you you.
cool.
And that in itself, you'll figure out the other coaching and more technical things. But, I always think with coaches and people that I really had good relationships with, it was because of the person first and then the coaching second.
Yeah,
So I'm excited for you.
yeah.
But
I
they're going to be
definitely will
growing
be.
pains.
Yeah, definitely will be some growing pains, but I'll be posting it on my social media accounts and, giving you a synopsis of how my team's doing and how the program's doing. And I hope to be rolling out a lot of good, high school baseball content for the Maryland this year, covering some high school baseball, doing what I can.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's almost that time of year. Or it is
Yeah,
that time of year.
exactly. So let's pivot to talk about the Orioles. The Orioles had a relatively to the last 5 years, they had a great season last year. What are your general expectations, and what are some things to watch out for this year? Like could be players, trends, etc.
I think the biggest thing is seeing can the team repeat having success. Now that you've tasted success, can you repeat that, but then one up it, or can you just better it? Because to be honest, the next step is to be a postseason team again and to
Yeah.
make the playoffs, and the team's right there. So I think how can team now with more expectations? How do they handle that? And then how do a lot of the younger, you know, I wouldn't say inexperienced might be the wrong word, because all these players have been playing baseball for their entire lives, but can you continue to get better from, a lot of the young players from year one to year two, or just build off of a successful 2022?
Yeah.
And especially with the young guys, that the young players can continue to get better, that to me is going to be the big reason why this team could jump to a playoff team come the end of 2023 season.
Absolutely right. Do you have any great answer. I'm really stoked for the Orioles this year. Do you have any sleeper? They could be minor league players or guys on the 25 or 40 man roster. Do you have any, like, I guess, sleepers or guys that you are a big fan of?
So I know a lot of guys on the roster. As far as guys that could be coming up, I know people. He had a great Arizona Fall League, but Heston Kjerstad did
Yeah.
a phenomenal job, I think, coming back, and I think people just forget about him.
Yeah.
And I think they're starting to remember he was drafted high for a reason, because he can swing the bat extremely well, and can really make an impact. Guys on the cusp: Colton Cowser. I know they talk about Joey Ortiz, Jordan Westberg, and Norby. There's a lot of guys I could just jump off that I know, but I'll say this is on the current team, where Kyle Bradish for me is a guy that has the stuff to be a frontline type of pitcher. Now it's just going to be, can he be consistent enough and be around the zone and refine himself? Because when he's on, he can be a dominant pitcher. So he's one name to really watch that's currently on the team. So I'm excited, but there's a lot of young players but Kjerstad would be the one for me that I have the most intrigue about. I don't know if this will be the year that he comes up, but I do believe it's a matter of time, and I hope that people recognize that he can swing it.
Yeah,
he can help the team moving forward.
He can crush some baseballs. That hurt. Heston Kjerstad, you hit the hammer on the nail there right there. So next topic, the fun little exercise or game we play, Mount Rushmore. We do. What are some of your favorite baseball uniforms? I know, like, you always talk about the Orioles, the black Orioles. So that can be your first one. But what? So yeah, black Orioles would probably be your first one, right?
Yeah, I love the black Orioles top. I think that's just, I don't know what about it. It's just, I love it, especially every time that they wear it. It just resonates with me. I really do enjoy it. I'm a pretty classic guy, so I do, even though it's in the division. The Yankees pinstripe is just historic. It just has that history.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Cardinals, same thing. It's plain. It's not anything crazy, but I love the way it looks, and again, the history of it. And I will say, I do love the Phillies retro blue unis.
Those throw that one out there. Yeah, the Phillies.
That one, I love it. I know people can feel different ways about the all blue, but honestly, I think it's great, and I love that uni's back in action. So those would be four that I would say that if I was going to put a Rushmore right now.
Cool. For posterity's sake, I'll throw four more out there. I like the Padres, the brown, like the brown Padres ones. The brown and gold ones. I like the Blue Jays, powder blue, like the powdery blue Blue Jays ones. I like the Florida Marlins, like Dontrelle Willis era jerseys.
Oh wow, yeah, those are good.
And the Diamondbacks, Randy Johnson era jerseys.
Yeah, you know what? I keep forgetting. See, those are vintage, and I guess I keep forgetting because the game changes, right? And different styles change, but I love that. And those are some good options, and the powder blue with Toronto, can't sleep on that.
Yeah,
cannot
definitely.
sleep on that uni.
Absolutely. Good Mount Rushmore. So last question, so you're a big music guy. What's on your playlist right now? What are you jamming out to?
Well, it depends on the mood, and sometimes I'll throw on, when I'm working out, it can be a lot of rap or rap, hip hop, house music, whatever's going to kind of
Yeah.
get me zoned or locked in. But I've if you've seen on Twitter, I can I get nostalgic and love me some good pop music going back from the early 2000s,
Yeah, that
90s,
that was
and
an era.
uh, yeah. So actually, when I clean, sometimes I throw that on, or I want to just mess around. But honestly, I really listen to anything. I mean, when I'm playing during the season, or I remember a lot during summer ball before getting into pro ball, a lot of
Yeah,
country
good stuff.
during batting practice, going to the field. So, I'm pretty open to everything. I will
You're
say the
just
only thing, sometimes heavy metal can scare me
Yeah, that's
occasionally,
funny.
but heavy metal in the weight room, that can
That's
fall in
good.
that
Yeah,
category. So
little like Thunderstruck or that, or like AC/DC, that kind of the get you, or not that. That's not really. I'm getting my topics mixed up. Sorry, but
yeah, it's yeah. I know what you mean. It's the stuff where I
just
don't
like
think with the
harder,
heavy metal, if the hardcore screaming, I don't
like
know if I can do
Slayer kind
that.
of.
Or expect unless I'm working out and I feel like screaming myself, then yeah, throw that on.
That's fun. That's a good answer. So last topic before I let you go. Do you have any like shout outs or any acknowledgments or anyone you want to recognize on the air?
Well, I I just like to say, like, I'm always thankful for my support system.
Yeah.
Really, it's friends, family, my girlfriend, people that have been along the journey and path with me through the ups and downs. And, I think just the last piece that I can leave with is you're going to have good moments and bad moments, and times of transition, and times of uncertainty.
Yeah.
But you really do want to reflect and appreciate the people that have been along with you on the journey. So I always like to try to give um, shout outs or homage to them, because without those group of people in my corner, I don't get to where I am without them.
Very good answer. Great answers all around. I definitely think you have a strong future in the, like broadcasting, podcast, radio world or television world, media world. You definitely have the skills and attributes for it. I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and the episode will be out probably within a week or so. I'll definitely send it your way.
Perfect. I look forward to it. I'm glad we could finally get on together, and I look
Yeah.
forward to us just chatting more, and best of luck on your first head coaching job.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you some updates. Thank you, Ryan. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.